Holy shit, people. Alright, the fated day, the long-awaited day is finally here where we get new Boruto content aside from the movie. Now we're going to talk about chapter 10, a couple of different things for people that haven't read the manga up until this point because they just saw, okay, recap, call me when the recap's over. The recap's over. Maybe just a little bit you'll be disappointed with this chapter because there are a couple of pages, a few pages, not too many, that have some of the ending of the Boruto movie in it. Obviously the aftermath of the fight where they're still on the battleground, and also towards the end when Naruto and Boruto are walking together. However, throughout the chapter there are many new different things and new setups as well with this chapter. So if you're coming in this and you see a couple things that look, familiar to the film, that's because, yeah, there are a couple pages because we're still at the end. The fight finished already between Momoshiki and Boruto and Naruto and Sasuke and all that good stuff. So there are a few instances of things that'll look familiar, but this chapter is already very important because there's a huge setup in this chapter for the remainder of the manga, and I think it also goes back to something that we had seen in the very first chapter, because if you remember, in the very first chapter we did get those 3 or 4 pages of new material, new content with Boruto and Kawaki, and one of the things that people have been asking is, what the fuck is those curse marks all over their bodies? And we might already have somewhat of an answer to that, so that's something that we can look forward to. But also this chapter, I need to stress as well, for the people that are like, the art, I checked out chapter 1, the art was terrible. The art almost looks just like Kishimoto shit, so if you're worried about the art, he pretty much fixed up everything within these 10 chapters. And like I said in my last videos regarding the Boruto manga, the best thing we got out of this long wait for new shit is that the art has improved immensely. So now that we got that out the way, let's talk about some of the major things that happened. For starters, it seems as though somewhere along this fight, I don't know if it was because of the villain in particular, or if it's because of the advancement, or is it because of the genes that Boruto has inside of him from Naruto, but something huge happened after the aftermath of the fight with Momoshiki and Kinshiki and all that good stuff, because now Boruto has a seemingly square or cube in his hand, and it seems as though it's a curse mark. Could that very well be already setting up for what we saw in chapter 1, where he had all those markings all over his body? Because in the chapter, Momoshiki basically says, you've changed now, there's no going back to being normal, you essentially have surpassed, you defeated a god, and there comes consequences to that, and you're gonna no longer be just that normal guy. So that already was the huge setup for that, and we see the cube in his hand. Again, I'm kind of wondering, where does that connect to? What does that have to do with, if anything at all, the curse mark? Could it be that because he defeated them, because of their clan, because of the genes? Did Momoshiki do something to him afterward? That's something that we're going to be lingering on, wondering, because it was really weird. They did something that was not in the Boruto movie, which I guess you could argue, okay, well, if they redo the Boruto movie in the actual anime, then they can include these parts, and I guess, gotta just count the Boruto movie as non-canon in a way, although you could argue that maybe these scenes happened off-screen in the Boruto movie, and it was just never addressed, so you could kind of squeeze that in there. I would have liked, to be honest with you, if we were going to have big setups like what happened with the hand, and we'll talk about the eyes in a second as well, that it would have just been something completely new, because the Boruto movie was damn near perfect. The Boruto movie was one of the best things animated in Naruto, period. It was a great and beautiful cap, so for this to kind of toy with a little bit of the continuity of it and how it fits into all this is a little bit like, oh, because Boruto movie's so perfect, but this was really good setup as well. Let's talk about one of the major things that Momoshiki pointed out about Boruto. He said about his eyes. He said, you're connected to the Hyuga clan, or, your clan that you're connected to. Those blue eyes of yours will one day take everything from you. Now, he was seemingly talking as if he could see Boruto's future, and to be honest with you, this scene kind of reminded me of, if you guys have ever seen, which who hasn't seen, the Bardock the Father of Goku TV special, where Bardock was fighting those aliens, and one of them said, I can see your destruction, Bardock, I can see your future, and he told Bardock that something, bad was going to happen. It kind of reminded me of that in a way, almost as if Boruto was seeing a phantom version of Momoshiki, and he told him that those blue eyes will take everything from him. Now, I'm kind of curious, what did he mean by that? Was it more metaphoric in the sense of like somebody that he sees and he can't control himself for being nice and ultimately leads to his despair, talking about Kawaki? Could it be that him activating the Byakugan is going to be deadly towards his family? Maybe him activating the Byakugan could somehow be involved with, like, you know, hurting Hinata. Or, I mean, we seen what happened with Himawari when she went and, you know, went bonkers and activated Byakugan, which that's something that we got to talk about as well, I guess, a little bit in a sense regarding the activation of Byakugan, when seemingly the eyes are always supposed to look like the Byakugan color, and then you just, you know, go into the mode where they got the little veins on the side. So that's something that's kind of like, they changed it up a little bit. I guess you could argue that they're not complete Hyuga, so it's going to be a little bit different, but that right there was one of the hugest setups. The two huge setups that we got with this chapter was, one, him referencing those blue eyes is going to take everything from him. And it was kind of weird as well, because it seemingly stopped time. So I don't know if this was just a premonition that Boruto had. Was it truly Momoshiki on some phantom shit? Like, just before he left, a bit of his chakra was able to one last time do something. So that kind of had me wondering, like, exactly what does that mean? Because at the end of the day, the Momoshiki clan, you know, the Otsutsuki clan in general, shall I say, they all were aliens and they all had these special powers. I mean, we've seen with Kaguya, she was an alien and all this stuff. So maybe this could actually be the remnants of his chakra, and maybe they could have told the future, and that's why they were trying to change their future potentially. And he told Boruto a little bit of a glimpse, of a hint of his future as well. But that just kind of has me like, oh, I can't wait now. What is he talking about, these blue eyes? What does it mean? Does it mean that the Byakugan, also that fucking new thing on his hand, is similar to what Naruto and Sasuke had? Remember, they had the sun and the moon, so it could be something related to that, because we never seen it in the Naruto verse. Then again, it could be, you know, creating all new rules, which would really suck, but we never seen that, like, you know, you just randomly get that in the middle of a fight. It was because the Sage of Six Paths gave them that power and stuff like that. So maybe Momoshiki left a bit of his chakra inside of Boruto, or started this to begin with. There's so many questions. It could all be metaphoric, and it could all be that he activated this on his own, but then again, Boruto's just a, you know, a little genin, so there's a lot of questions there. But either way, that was the biggest thing from this chapter to take away, what Momoshiki said and what Momoshiki let Boruto. Also, being able to stop time, I don't think that that was a part of their powers, because if not, they would have used that. So there's something more to it than that, because if you could stop time, why didn't you just kill Naruto and Sasuke and all them right then and there, you know? And also, you notice how they kept on, you know, once again saying, yeah, they're aliens, because they kept on saying, or Momoshiki kept on saying, oh, son of man, like, as if Boruto's gonna be this big, giant fucking thing to humanity towards the end of the series or something like that. Like, who knows, maybe Kawaki is part Otsutsuki clan, or maybe Kawaki at some given point is involved in a gigantic fight that is going to ultimately lead to him getting these powers as well. Because if the setup is that, okay, you get this little thing on your hand, which seemingly could be leading into that curse mark after defeating an incredible opponent, a god or something like that, maybe they bring Madara back. Let's just say, for example, Kawaki is introduced into the story. Eventually he assists in the defeat of Madara or whatever crazy villain comes about, and that's where he slowly gets the powers, and then it leads up into what we saw at the very beginning of this manga, the Boruto versus Kawaki stuff. That would be interesting. We also got to see something kind of neat where Gaara's son was a little bit peeved that he wasn't involved in the final fight, which, first of all, we really never talked about. Holy shit, Gaara has a son. Like, that's something that I think there's actually a novel for, and I hope, which I don't think they're going to do it, because it seems as though Boruto's coming very quick, April 5th, which we talk a little bit about the Boruto anime news that we got as well in this video. Let's just do it all in here or whatever. But it is a neat thing to see Gaara having a son, like, holy shit. And also the fact that he was a little bit pissed off that he wasn't involved in the final fight, but they were all kind of like, yeah, but you could beat Boruto in a one-on-one. Maybe after this fight he can't. Maybe after what Boruto has and the hints about his blue eyes, maybe he can't. But either way, it seems as though that was a setup as well. This whole chapter was essentially set up for the future of the Boruto manga, because it seems as though maybe he's gonna hold that gripe, and similar to how, you know, Gaara was when he was younger and he was a big problem for Naruto as a kid, maybe Gaara's son will be a big problem for Boruto as a kid, because he's gonna hold resentment that he wasn't able to take part in the final fight against Momoshiki. Bit of character development for Boruto. The movie wasn't nothing. It actually developed him in a way. For starters, when he's playing the game, instead of talking about putting in cheat codes, he's talking about grinding. Shows that he's no longer trying to take the shortcuts. Good shit there. Also with the jacket, when he was making fun of like, oh, Naruto's jacket, that shit looks like hell. Like, whoa. He's actually like, Mom, just sew up my old jacket, what I used already. I'm gonna keep using it. It's cool as shit. So he's no longer trying to be pretty boy. He's actually accepted, like, yo, you take your wounds, you take your battle wounds, and you keep on moving. So Boruto as a character has already developed a lot. The movie portions of the story actually helped to make him a bit more tolerable, because if we had to go through months upon months of him just being this fucking brat and trying to cheat and everything, I think everybody would hate Boruto. So we needed that movie content for this development that we got, which hopefully will lead to him not being annoying in the upcoming chapters. And like I said, there was some portions from the movie, for example, where Boruto and Naruto are walking and they give each other the pound, and when they're talking a little bit about being Hokage, Sarada and Mitsuki and Boruto, they're talking about like, oh, so you're gonna be, and he's like, nah, I'm walking my own path, I want to be like your father. And you can see that Sarada actually, the love is blooming in the air, so there will be some pairings and some shippings with Sarada. Maybe they'll introduce another chick on the side of all this, but you can definitely see with Sarada in this chapter saying, oh, he looks so cool, that yeah, she's already digging Boruto. I think the movie stuff definitely helped to even create that. Like, the movie stuff did a lot of good things for Boruto's character, honestly. And what the fuck is up with the racism? I don't know if it was just because of the translations or what, but the translations I read, Chocho is talking to, I don't know the little girl's name. It's one of the kids, you know, one of the new generation, but the little girl calls Chocho fatty, and Chocho calls her Whitey. I was like, yo, somebody call Wall Street Journal right now. Call Wall Street Journal. Don't call Wall Street Journal. Fuck Wall Street Journal. And I love the way the chapter ended, where it's truly showcasing that this is Boruto's story. He said, I told you before, but I'm going to tell you again, this isn't a story about a ninja trying to be Hokage. That was my father's story. This is my story now. And the way they ended this chapter was great setup. So chapter 11 should be 110% all new content. No diving into the movie, although chapter 10 did it very nicely, where it wasn't really interrupting, because we did get some really nice new shit. So I guess the first big question I want to ask you guys is, Curse Mark, what's up with that? How did that happen? He said, you know, you defeat a god, you cease to be an ordinary person. Does it mean that Momoshiki left that to him? Was it a huge advancement? Did it have something to do with genetics? Like, how the fuck does he have that curse? Also, what do you think Momoshiki meant by those blue eyes will be basically like his downfall? They're going to take everything from him at some given point. Doesn't mean him activating the Byakugan. Doesn't mean at some given point something is going to happen tragically and then he's going to do it. Like, what do you think that means? Maybe it's referring to the fact that him having those blue eyes and not automatically having the Byakugan is his downfall in a sense, because he doesn't have that extra power. Interesting stuff. I'm kind of curious to hear everybody's take on all this. And are you fucking excited for Boruto Naruto the movie finally being over and us heading into new territory? I'm fucking hype as fuck, because we got some huge setups, some huge plays, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this story goes. And quickly, just to talk about the anime news, the anime is coming April 5th. I believe we already knew that, but yeah, April 5th, 110% Boruto new anime is coming, starting off with an original story. Also, we have one director that I believe he wasn't a part of Naruto at all. He's coming from Bleach and Yu Yu Hakusho, which, depending on which version of this Noriyuki Abe we get, I'm hyped in a way, because if we get the Yu Yu Hakusho director, I mean, in case you don't know about Yu Yu Hakusho, the ending of it, a good chunk of it was kind of filler, but it was better than the manga. So that speaks volumes about Noriyuki Abe. Like, if we get Noriyuki Abe, the Hakusho days, we on some gravy train. Like, yeah, it's gonna be high. Hey, overall thoughts of the manga chapter 10 thus far? How do you feel? Are you excited? Do you feel as though you're getting back into your Naruto days? Because I do. I feel it. I feel it. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm Funneverworld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.